bodies everywhere, and I was crawling. I just kept crawling.
He's my only child.
No act of hate or terror will ever change who we are or the values that make us Americans.
Hello, I'm Paulo Salazar. We're following developments in the Orlando nightclub shooting where authorities are close to identifying all 49 victims. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez joins us live outside of the nightclub.
And several vigils are planned for tonight in other parts of Orlando. But here at the scene, the focus is still on the investigation and piecing together this nightmare that for so many people is still sinking in.
From the horrors of yesterday to the heartbreaking confirmation today, dozens of families now learning their loved ones are among the victims.
We missed him. We missed him. We love him.
At the scene where 49 people were so viciously killed, investigators collecting evidence as federal authorities delve into the killer's past.
It appears that the shooter was inspired by various extremist information that was disseminated over the internet.
29-year-old Omar Mateen was interviewed by the FBI 3 times in 2013 and 2014 for possible links to terrorism.
But he also had a lot of hatred for people, black people, women, nor did he like gay or lesbian people.
But the FBI deemed Mateen was not a threat, and he was able to buy the assault rifle and handgun used in the attacks legally.
He passed the background check.
Mateen using them to unleash 3 hours of terror early Sunday inside this gay nightclub during Latin night, in the midst of which he called 911, pledging loyalty to ISIS.
But he also appeared to claim solidarity with the perpetrators of the Boston Marathon bombing and solidarity with a Florida man who died as a suicide bomber in Syria, which adds a little bit to the confusion about his motives.
And Mateen was killed by a SWAT team here, and we learned today they decided to break through a wall here when Mateen threatened to strap bombs onto hostages. Live in Orlando, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
And we have team coverage on the events in Orlando, starting with WTXL ABC 27's Jade Biloxa, who is at the First Presbyterian Church in Tallahassee, where a vigil is getting underway. Jade, how are residents remembering the victims?
We are inside the church here, and as you can see, people are already taking a seat. Now, there is a list of people speaking tonight, including the mayor and a representative from the Islamic Center of Tallahassee. And from what I understand, it's going to be a very moving ceremony. And at the end, they are going to light candles in honor of those victims. Now, one of those victims is a FAMU graduate. His name is Antonio Brown. He was listed as one of the people killed at the nightclub. The 29-year-old was a criminal justice major from Cocoa Beach. He was involved in ROTC while at FAMU. He graduated in 2008. Military officials are also telling us Brown was a captive in the U.S. Army Reserves. Now, FAMU also says they will continue to update the community about plans for a memorial or remembrance ceremony for him. And also, WTXL ABC 27 Stephen G. Wunmall has been following the capital city's reaction to this mass shooting. Stephen?
Well, it's not just residents who are concerned about safety, but elected officials as well. In fact, City Commissioner Gil Ziffer is calling for a discussion about the closing times at bars and nightclubs in light of Sunday's shooting in Orlando. Now, earlier this year, the city extended closing hours at places that serve alcohol to 4 a.m. This includes local bars and nightclubs. Sunday, Commissioner Ziffer emailed the rest of the commission along with the city manager and city attorney calling for that decision to be reconsidered. That suggestion prompted Mayor Gillum and Commissioner Curtis Richardson to respond back, saying that the tragedy in Orlando should not be tied to what time a bar or club closes. We spoke to Commissioner Ziffer today to clarify his concerns.
It's not a fair distance away. It's here in Florida. I grew up in Orlando. It's deeply personal for me also, as so many other people. But I think it's worthy of having the conversation. Should we be doing something maybe different so that we don't give as much of an opportunity?
Right now, there's no indication that the commission will officially address that issue. Ziffer says he'd like a conversation about it before the commission breaks for the summer. And back here live, we're going to turn things over to WTXL ABC 27's Paulo Salazar, who joins us in the WTXL studio. Paulo?
All right, Stephen, and we'll continue to follow the events out of Orlando for you on air and online.
Hurricane Matthew ripping along the east coast of Florida today, already claiming hundreds of lives in the Caribbean. The massive storm is bringing winds of more than 100 miles per hour. People across Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina are bracing for the storm and its aftermath. Good evening. I'm Jade Balexa. Tonight, our team is standing by to bring you the very latest on Hurricane Matthew as it moves along the Florida coast. Meteorologist Alex Cordero is standing by live in Jacksonville, and Chief Meteorologist Casanova Nurse is here at the Weather Center, keeping us up to date on the projections and forecasts associated with Hurricane Matthew. And we start things off with Cass, who is tracking the path of the Category 2 hurricane. Cass?
That's right, Jay. The very important note you made at the end there, it has decreased in its strength as it has done for most of this day. And even though it is just barely below major hurricane force right now, it is still a considerable force nonetheless for the first coast of Florida and heading into the coastal zones of Georgia. Here's the loop over the last 6 hours showing the clear, distinct circulation just hovering right off the coastline. Only just a buffer of maybe 20, 30, 40 miles at times. And right now, the center of the hurricane, if you take a measurement from the coastal zones, it's only about 40 miles off of the beaches of Duval and Nassau County. So there is quite a bit of considerable strength with this system, as well as some extremely heavy rain and very gusty winds as well, all rotating around that center. And as that central part gets closer to the coast, at least at its closest approach to the Jacksonville area proper, the winds are likely going to continue to lash out at those coastal zones as well as the entire metro area. We have only gotten side effects with a few areas of clouds and some brief showers across the Suwannee River Valley, and the forecast for this system is going to continue to weaken it as it parallels the Georgia and South Carolina coasts in the next 24 to 36 hours. But right now, the heftiness of the winds are beginning to impact the heavily populated area around Jacksonville and the very popular port that's around there, a main shipping lane for the Atlantic. And in Jacksonville is where our meteorologist Alex Cordero is right now. Alex, brief us on what's going on with you right now near that river.
All right, Cass, well, what we're seeing currently is still gusty winds. Obviously, the storm's eye wall only around 40 miles away, and the heavy rains have not subsided. It has been like this since around 11 o'clock, maybe even earlier. It was intermittent, but the heavy rains have continued, and the consistent winds that have blown in, not only along the shoreline, but along the St. Johns River as well, have allowed the local pier here to start to get some flooding concerns. There are 5 steps here, and I'm standing on the top step. The entire first step is submerged with water incoming from the St. Johns River. It's only going to continue as the storm maintains its nearby proximity to us, but it is pushing away, and the good news is that it never made landfall, so it could have been a lot worse. We recently spoke to someone along one of the boating ramps near the Orange Park vicinity on the south side of town, and he said that he never evacuated, but he did take precaution. Here's what he had to say.
We considered evacuating a couple times, but by the time we made a decision, everybody in South Florida already had a head start on us, so we couldn't find any real place to stay that's fairly close, other than up towards Atlanta. We didn't want to drive that far. Plus, staying here, sort of able to handle any problems that happen to the house quicker than 6 hours from now or 12 hours from now. By the time you get back, significant damage could have already happened, so decided to stay.
That's right, and significant damage has happened across portions of the east coast of Florida. Localized, it has been worse, and coming up tonight at 5:30, I spoke to an expert who actually works on cutting down some of the trees during the aftermaths of these storms, and he has some important reasoning as to why you should maintain these trees and keep them trimmed and how that can actually help in case one of these storms strikes. I'll have a lot more coming up later on during your news at 5:30. For now, reporting in Jacksonville, Alex Cordero, WTXL ABC 27.
Alex, thank you. We'll check in with you in just a little bit. But for now, Interstate 10 has been seeing a lot more traffic here locally in the past 24 hours. People have been heading towards our area, leaving their homes and trying to find a shelter. A rest stop off I-10 between Leon and Gadsden counties is where it's been busy all day long. Now, another place buzzing with activity today, the Red Cross. The Capital Area chapter is full of volunteers from across the country working together to provide resources to those in the path of the hurricane. Congresswoman Gwen Graham stopped by the Red Cross earlier today to see how the organization has been preparing to help out.
Being here with so many people who have come to Florida to address other areas of Florida, it's wonderful that North Florida is being able to show our heart in dealing with a disaster that's impacting other parts of the state. We just had our own Hurricane Hermine here not too long ago. So now we're going to be working with FEMA to bring together resources.
The Red Cross has set up shelters in Tallahassee and Madison. The one in Tallahassee has already reached capacity with more than 100 people staying there overnight. The Red Cross is setting up another shelter tonight to meet demand.
Well, the third annual WTXL ABC 27 Turkey Drive has come to a close, and we exceeded our goal.
Big time. Thanks to our sponsors and all of the capital city residents that helped out. We were able to raise over $17,000 for America's second harvest of the Big Bend.
And here's how it all went down today.
We are live at Ponce de Leon Park in downtown Tallahassee for our third annual turkey drive. We're hoping to raise $16,000 today and more than 300 turkeys. Hey, we just got our first monetary donation. Right now we have raised $455 and also 12 turkeys.
It's fun to help the community, and I think Thanksgiving without a turkey is not Thanksgiving.
For every dollar, Second Harvest can provide 4 meals to a hungry family.
Always happy to be a part of the community and here supporting good causes.
How many did you have for us?
We brought about 15 turkeys.
So important to help, and of course, it doesn't stop here, right? I believe our cash total is $3,800. So is it the mannequin challenge? Is that, Marcus, you're not going to say anything either? Okay, it's the mannequin challenge, apparently.
This year we're given 22 turkeys and $675.
How many turkeys are you guys donating today?
4 turkeys.
Great. Amwat moving warehousing and storage, bringing in $100.
More than $7,000.
Just over $7,000 and counting, folks.
That $7,375 enables us to provide nearly 30,000 meals.
The owners of Legacy Toyota, we want to present this check for $10,000.
$10,000.
Go into the green.
Oh! Get it ball!
And what a great event today was.
You know, from, as we said, from sunrise to sundown out there, people coming by, dropping off. And it was cool to see some people who came by last year and the year before coming back again and donating as well.
That's right. You know, Thanksgiving's next week. You got Christmas coming up in a month. And 'tis the season to be giving back. And a lot of us are fortunate, and we're going to have a big turkey, a big spread. Not a lot of folks will have that, though, in the capital city.
But they will because of your donation, so a lot of smiles out there tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
the WTXL Road Trip Series continues tonight in Bainbridge with a look at the town's main street.
Many say that the center of the community is Willis Park, surrounded by local art studios, gift shops, and antique stores.
WTXL ABC 27's Brittany Kleinpeter shows us how the places and people keep these streets on pace.
Just saying hello to your neighbor, it's really nice.
Well, the main heartbeat for Bainbridge is downtown.
Bainbridge, you know, it seems like your typical small little southern town, but the history is so multifaceted.
West, Water, Broad, and Broughton. 4 streets with 4 identities, all merging together to make up the downtown square of Bainbridge.
Broad Street, that's the main thoroughfare through downtown. It's the widest section of downtown. It's a state route. And West Street's a very artistic, kind of very artsy block where you do have a bank and all, but then you have the stores that are making candles, have a lot of the American-made, Georgia-made products.
We like to consider it a creative little block here. West Street is best street kind of thing. We like to encourage creativity and art and thinking outside the box.
Along West Street, you'll find similar stores to Made in South where residents can purchase art, home goods, and other specialty items. As you make your way down Water Street, you'll find various antique shops, and after a little shopping, you can grab a deli sandwich along Broughton. All of these businesses continue to pop up around Willis Park, and residents agree that this downtown growth has transformed the area.
We find that it's very easy to open a small business in a small town. We found tremendous support, I can't say that enough, from our community. When we opened, we found new friends, new makers, great potential here for a new business.
Tell me about what the feel of Bainbridge is. The downtown area and what it brings, and the ambiance that you can go with to eat different places and walk around and be able to go shopping or antiquing. Just a very relaxed atmosphere.
In case you don't feel you've relaxed enough in downtown, you can grab your fishing pole and head a couple of miles west to find a fisherman's paradise.
The Flint River and Lake Seminole is another huge draw. And fortunately for us, downtown's only 2 blocks from the Flint River.
While the downtown area remains the pride and joy of Bainbridge, those familiar with its past say there's still room for growth.
We always look at a downtown whether or not it's vibrant or not. And so that's something that we strive to do on a daily basis, is to bring the businesses, the people, and the community as a local gathering place, just like they used to do in the early 1900s. You see pictures that there's just crowds and crowds of people in the streets, the sidewalks, the businesses, and we want to bring that back. We want people to think of downtown as the local gathering place.
In Bainbridge, Brittany Kleinpeter, WTXL, ABC 27.
Tomorrow we'll take a closer look at that fishing paradise Brittany mentioned and introduce you to a legendary fishing angler who calls Bainbridge her home.
The McClain Marauder volleyball team was fueled by one thing this offseason. That was last year's loss in the Elite Eight of the state tournament. With just about everyone returning for this year, the Marauders feeling pretty good about their chances at a state title this season. And senior Mary Frances Daniel wants to make sure she's wearing a ring to end her career. And Mary Frances is our very first TCC WTXL Scholar Athlete of the Week. When it comes to athletics, there is nothing better than experience.
I can look at a person and just know automatically that they're going to do something, or they can look at me and we just know. We just have that telepathy, you know?
That's what happens when a majority of the McClain Marauders have been together since middle school. And for Mary Frances, it's experience that's paid off.
There's a lot of pressure, but I feel that it's not as much as I had when I was younger, because I felt like I had to perform to be great.
She comes in every day, works really, really hard. That's every coach's dream. You want your whole your whole squad to come in and ready to go and just ready to push really hard.
Just how hard has she pushed? Mary Frances reached 1,000 career digs last month.
I tell my liberos, that's their job. You get down and dirty, it's like you're the vacuum cleaner of the team.
And she's cleaning up in the classroom too, boasting a 4.36 GPA.
Practice makes perfect. So many math problems, so many chemistry problems, like staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it stinks the next day, but you make the best grade you can make. They always say practice makes perfect.
Perfect in the classroom. And if Mary Frances has it her way, a perfect ending on the court in her senior year. Mary Frances is committed to play volleyball at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. She wants to major in biomathematics with the hopes of one day finding cures for diseases like Alzheimer's. Mary Frances, of course, our very first Scholar Athlete of the Week. And if you want to nominate a Scholar Athlete, you can do so starting on Monday at WTXL.TV.